All right, we should be live now. We should be live. Okay, cool. Usual disclaimers. If you, sorry, I'm trying to fix something right now. If you're watching this on a VOD and you've never seen the stream before, welcome. Feel free to skip around. This is a very likely a uncut version of the VOD that'll probably run 3 hours. So there may be some stuff repeated, and it usually takes a little bit for me to get my shit together and for the stream to get going. So apologies for that. I've received criticism in the past about being more organized or whatever. Appreciate the feedback, but as you can see, I really haven't enacted anything on that front. Alright, so music is playing, but the thing I set up is not, it's not showing. It's not showing the window it's supposed to show. Anyways, I tried to set something up last time to allow you to see what music's playing in the background, despite the fact that I'm always streaming off of YouTube. So I don't think that works. Anyway. I'll fix it later.
Hope your vacation was good.
Hey Rev, thank you for 3 months. Yeah, the quick summary of vacation was basically got to Austin, had a great sort of, we landed and it was early evening, went out, got some beers, got some food, I think. Next day was very productive, woke up early, did storage room stuff that I needed to get done. We had like breakfast tacos in the morning, did storage room stuff, went out, had a nice Tex-Mex lunch, got some drinks going, went out for some more drinks at a couple cool places, ended up listening to some live music at the White Horse, went to bed, woke up the next day, both of us had sore throats that we assumed were just the air conditioning, we're not used to it. By later that afternoon, had COVID tests, quick tests, they were positive. Went and got PCRs, they were positive. Spent 5 days in a hotel, or a couple different hotels, quarantined ourselves, canceled the rest of the plans, came back to Germany. But overall, man, shit happens. It's all good. What was I planning on doing? I was still trying to fix this damn YouTube thing. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's it wasn't as bad as it sounds. Okay, so it's just I don't think it really matters. If anybody's got questions about what music we're listening to, I'll just tell them like I have been. And I'll fix that little YouTube window some other time. Cool. So, let's hop into the game while people are still rolling in. Have something pretty in the background. Probably going to do a couple of things in the database today. And maybe answer some questions as people have them about database stuff or design implementation or whatever. And yeah. Ishi, did I say hey to you? I don't think I did. because we were chatting before the stream even started. Sorry about that. Drink some of my coffee while I'm still warm. Or while it's still warm. While I'm still warm. Jeez. It's gonna be one of those streams. For those of you that weren't here last stream, we've got a couple of animation candidates that we're going to be working with in the next few weeks to kind of see how they do. Get them in and working with us. Thank you, Zukin or Ali or whoever spun the shields around. Now, not only are they attaching in basically the right spot, and they're also rotated properly. Hey, Justin, what's going on, dude? Yeah, I didn't hear anything from you on Discord. You shouldn't feel obligated to hang out in Discord, but since I always see you in Discord, when I didn't hear anything from you for a couple days, then I figured I'd check in on you and see how you're doing. The not sleeping thing is a pain. So you know what I haven't done? Let me go take a look in here and we'll just sort of mosey about a little bit. Let me turn aggro off. Yeah, so the guards I think had armor, Rev. But there've been a few fixes. Hey, Ramez. There've been a few fixes, like the shield and stuff like that. Oh, poof, not poop. The way I read it was, wow, you get busy for 2 weeks and poop. The guards have armor and shields and stuff. Which I thought you were just using a polite sort of replacement for shit. Like, well, shit. Like my grandmother would say. And so put clothes on, the same clothes on all the merchants the other day. Zukin had started playing around modeling the wood elves, but we'll have to play with them. They're gonna be I think they're gonna be a tough one, just because they've got such unique body types. So we're gonna have to see if it translates to 3D. Yeah, if you haven't been here, or if you haven't been watching some of the other streams and stuff over the last 3 weeks, I guess, since I've been out, a lot of work's been done. Marketplace, the old temple complex that hosts like the day market, has a nice facade to it now. You can see we've got a few minarets popping up. The tower in the background is still pretty Disney shaped. You know what, Justin? For me, I appreciate you saying that. It was just one of those things where it's only natural for me to check in and see how you're doing, buddy. Hey, Stouty. Yeah, it's a pretty decent sized cup. Justin, you got to watch out with those coffee drinks, man. Oh, you used to be Kitten Army. Okay. Stout tea. I would have not have. Yeah, I wouldn't have known that. Justin, you got to watch out with those delicious Starbucks drinks. Though they seem like just pure calories. You had to rebrand so that people didn't think you were a furry. Kitten Army. I don't know that I thought furry. Then again, in here, I can't imagine. It'd be a little bit harder to, I think, make that leap. Though I guess some names could put it off. Oh wait. I'm gonna die. Aggro off. That needs to stick when we zone. I think, yeah, so to finish up that last thought, it would be more of like a Discord thing, depending on your avatar. Kitten Army, thank you for 4 months. Constantly being accused. Ishiwatari says, I'm constantly getting accused of being a weeb, although my name has absolutely nothing to do with anime, waifus, or other weeb stuff. I feel I still to this day feel a little bad because I was talking to one of my former coworkers at I was talking to a coworker at oh, we got to fix that attach point on the skellies. But we're going to be looking at some skelly attachment stuff soon anyway, or soonish anyway, so maybe we can figure it out then. But I was talking to my coworker at Star Stable about I've got a my second tattoo ever was like a decent size like Akira tattoo on my back shoulder, or the back of my shoulder. And so then we started talking about Akira and this and that, and then the guy was like, as we were leaving work, he was like, yeah, let me know if you want to weeb out sometime. And I'll be honest, I had never heard the term weeb before. I had no fucking idea what he was talking about. All right, it's just like, let me know if you want to weeb out at some point. I'm like, yeah, I don't, probably not. I don't know. It's like as we're getting in the elevator, and so like a 30-minute conversation. It was great. Wound up ending kind of awkwardly. I was just like, I don't know what this kid's talking about. I'm old. And just because I've got the backwards baseball hat on and I'm carrying a skateboard does not mean I know what you, my fellow kids, are talking about half the time. Hey T-Con. Hey Golden Gloves. I'm running around in some of this new area. Thinking of the placement of your EverQuest tattoo, forearms would be ideal, but there's something about the back of the, like, something about like a back of the neck tattoo. It depends on what kind of tattoo you want as well, right? The design, you got to consider the space when you're thinking about the design. If you just want like the old school sort of like kind of rounded, wasn't it? Isn't there kind of rounded EQ logo? Let me look. Maybe I'm being dumb. EverQuest logo. Yeah, it's a little rounded. Yeah. Okay, I wasn't wrong. Yeah, so I mean, are you thinking like an EQ logo like that on the back of your neck? I can see that. That should fit. You should get a tramp stamp. You've heard there are some pain reducing things they can do. Also, you want to sleep so bad. I've heard that they can hit you with some ointments, or I think there's like a tattoo cream or something that you can get. I also read though that it doesn't interact well with tattooing, which I think that's bullshit. I think that's just people trying to like stay hardcore and be like, you got to pay to play, kind of get your pain on if you're going to get tattooed. So they're maybe spreading what the government would call misinformation. It's probably fine, right? Like I have no idea what that cream would be doing to your skin to make tattooing any worse. Hey, Chinny D. I'm good. Hopefully you're good as well. So yeah, there's probably some stuff that you can do to reduce the pain. I just have never reduced it. Nah, the needle won't step. Trust me. They're gonna clean that skin. By then the Novocaine or whatever the active agent is probably already doing its job. They're gonna, or whatever the topical pain blocker is. Anyways, they're gonna, the one thing you don't have to worry about with the tattoo, if you're going to somebody who knows what they're doing, I guess, I would say the 99% case, is their hand slipping because of your skin or whatever. Your skin's gonna get rubbed so many times. It's gonna get spritzed and rubbed. First it's gonna get cleaned and shaved. And then it's gonna get, it's gonna be probably stenciled and then outlined, and you're gonna get spritzed and rubbed and spritzed and rubbed, and it's just, well, it's like having a really bad sunburn that somebody just keeps rubbing on. But I mean, ultimately that's tolerable. Yeah, it's the wipe after each line. Exactly. The needle's one thing. The constant wiping is another thing. Someone's going to have to look at the EverQuest tattoo on the internet in a tattoo shop. A lot of tattoo parlors, if you're like, hey, I want to get this thing, a lot of times they're going to have a computer there. They're going to look it up. They can bring it in. If you're doing, depending on the scale of tattoo or whatever, it may be during the consult where they bring it up and then they show you, and then at some point when you're not there, or depending on how busy you are, how fast they are, or what modern practices are, I haven't been tattooed in years, they're probably like gonna get some time to make the stencil, you know, draw it, trace it, make the stencil, etc. A lot of times they're gonna back in the day, the way they would do it at least was like print something out and then they'd put the stencil paper over it, and then they would trace on like a light board. So you had a tattoo done in some back alley in Russia. There's no spritz or shave. Yeah. That you know of. You just woke up with a interesting Russian tattoo. There's a tattoo artist from Russia that I follow on Instagram that I've been meaning to hook up with. Does really like silly old school tattoos. Young guy. It never came to be. All right, so let me see if I can zone and look at something in Shaded Dunes. So a lot of the work that's weighing heavily on my mind right now for Eminem is going to be a lot of lore cleanup and writing and preparatory work to bang out a fair number of low-level quests. And excuse me, none of that stuff that's the actual work on the quests, I guess I can stream, but the rest of it's stuff that I need to kind of just sit down and put my earplugs in and noise canceling headphones on and get in the right headspace and have hours of uninterrupted just thinking time to get the cleanup and consolidation of the lore that we need for it, and then write up the quests. There's a format that I like to use when I'm writing quests for implementation, and then I'll have all of that documented basically, and then I'll just be doing a lot of data entry and, you know, in the form of like item and dialogue creation and stuff. So we'll see when that happens. I'd really love to be able to be in a position to be working on some of that stuff next week before I leave. If you weren't here on Tuesday, I told folks I'm going to be streaming either Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And then I'm going to be maybe I'll only be doing one stream next week. Because I also need to take care of the garden during the day. But could probably do that at night as well. Before I'm gone at a music festival Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of next week. So anyway. Oh, what's going on here? Second time I've got paused on the way into a zone. I wonder if that's just me. Golden Glove said, I met the guy, and this is regarding the Russian tattoo. He was a big shirtless dude covered in really well done face portraits. I asked him if he had a sample book. He pointed to his chest. He had done all of it on himself. You were impressed and went with it. But where he was in an alley, or his shop was just in an alley in Russia? Help me understand. So I don't want to say that. Pattis may not be up yet, but I think one of the things, if you're watching this either now or on the VOD, Pattis, I'll be following up with you in Slack either way. But I'm thinking the work that we're doing in Night Harbor right now, we've got enough locations. I think we're good. Well, more than good if you look at like the market and stuff. To keep me preoccupied. And populating things like that. And given our goals for this year with regards to playtesting and stuff, we might want to bump the integration of basically the cleanup of Night Harbor and Shaded Dunes, and getting any sort of level design changes hammered out. Nothing super detailed or whatever. I think we could do it pretty quickly. But level design changes hammered out, anything that's needed for camps, and then also the facade of New Night Harbor with the removal of Old Night Harbor, which is still there. I made a video saying it was gone, and then I reverted the changes because I realized that there's stuff that Pattis needed to do still, so I guess I lied. But we'll be deleting all this again, and then integrating New Night Harbor, Shaded Dunes, This will be the new Night Harbor newbie yard. It won't be so close. Looks like you've already put the new Fallen Watch there. So yeah, basically just making it so that we can have a very seamless experience going from Night Harbor to the newbie yard to Shaded Dunes. So I'll follow up with you if you don't happen to see this beforehand. Looks like the broken mobs on subs are the best farming spots here. Yeah, though keep in mind you got the audio turned off, Kitten. I can see it, so I can't respond to you. Yeah, well, we should be fixing that. I'm not quite sure why that's still happening. I thought the pathing had been updated in here. Oops. Why do I do things like that sometimes? I'm picking on you, Stout T. Golden Glove said it was a 1-bedroom apartment inside an alley / courtyard. Came recommended. Cleaned everything in front of me. Was 10 years ago, so everything turned out all right. Nice. Hey, what's up, Keith? Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, my dad rode with a motorcycle club when we lived in southern Germany the second time. And they'd have parties where the MC would come over, and one of the guys in the club had a tattoo parlor. Brother Tattoo was his name. Fitting name. And they would just have a party, and he'd do tattoos all night. That was pretty cool to grow up around. All right. How's the music for you guys? My levels are always way different than whatever's going on your end, so. Belfaster. Good morning, by the way. You had asked about merchants. So like the merchant buy list, the way it's currently set up. Playing music? You can't hear it? Hey, Sethrick. You can't hear any music right now, Yishuatari? Seeking Chivalry, hello. Oh no, it was BDC Retro. Sorry, I saw the B and I got confused. Spellfaster, it wasn't you. You're right, it was BDC Retro. In Discord, those of you that don't know about our Discord, which I've got to imagine all of you do.
Neat 2 years.
Midgard, it has been 2 years. Thank you for support. That's pretty badass. I swear you were just in here and it was 23 months. Did it just flip over? Where'd you... I'm gonna scroll down. I swear. Yeah. Last stream it was 23 months. I can turn the music up a little bit more for you, Ishi, if you don't mind not hearing the music and you don't mind the occasional awkward silence, then I won't adjust anything, but I would hate for my bassy voice to destroy your walls, as you said. Tattoo was a cover of the NES Spy vs. Spy game with the streets sign saying Russia and USA. So It was okay. The cover of it wasn't a cover up. Okay, it was the cover of it. That's pretty badass. Spy versus Spy NES. Let me look. Oh, that's super cool. Did you get it while you were being a spy in Russia? Did your case officer tell you should not do that sort of thing? I turned the music up a little bit. We'll see what happens. Let's see if you notice a difference. Alright, so to test the system out, what I did was essentially we've got this buy list for the Shifty Gnome. And so essentially any item that is flagged food, weapon, or critter bits _1, he will buy. And what that looks like is, and I was thinking about doing more work in this area before the stream today, and then I was like, wait a second. I kind of want to be careful, and maybe for now it's fine, but I kind of want to be careful showing the item database on stream, especially later on as we go. I think for now it's probably okay-ish. But let me see, anything seem... Oh, why is a jackal pup bite me? Because I zoned and that turned my no aggro flag off. Alright. Help me, Gardemir. Good job. Nice wing animation. Whoever made that, very good. Alright, so let's see. Okay, I think everything here is fine to see. So, what I've done here is, to make it easier to work on something like this, what I tend to do, and anytime I'm showing anything, I'm not trying to act like I'm the be-all, end-all expert on some of this shit. So if you see something and you're like, why don't you do it this way, or have a suggestion or whatever, please feel free. You guys have been great about doing that with art and everything else. So it's always nice. It's a nice way to not miss stuff. It's a great way to learn. Anyway, so what I do is, if you look here, if you look at all our columns, oh man, there's a lot of columns in here. All right, so we've got all these columns. And so what I tend to do if I'm working kind of in bulk on a specific thing, I'll come in, I'll turn all the columns off, and then get HID and the name, and then I'll probably just grab the traits that I'm wanting to work on. So like in this case, tags. So then I have a nice just sort of like compact view to look at stuff in. And this will probably be handy as well when I'm doing something like bulk quest implementation later on, where I've got all the quests, like written out in a simplified sort of template format in probably like essentially Word, but like Google Docs. And then I can just easily kind of copy paste, come in, implement the things I need. In RDB, since it's a little bit more modern, when you're like foreign keying to other tables, there's usually a drop down, makes it a little bit easier. In EQ, back in the day, I would have reserved slots in the DB. That gives me all of the IDs. I'd probably have them in my document as well, and then I'd put in placeholder in the DB to sort of mark my territory. Somebody didn't come in and override me, and then yeah, it's same sort of mass kind of like grabbing info and copy pasting it to the right tables. You wonder if that program can save filter presets for me? Maybe, but hear me out on this. I don't know. I'm wondering if something like this would be frequent enough that it would be worth making, like saving out the preset and then naming the preset something that I'll actually remember to use, and then come back and then, right, it's just so quick to click on this, turn everything off, and then just grab what I need. And then, you know, if I decide, you know what, I want to, in the next pass, not only update tags, but maybe I need to do their costs as well. You know, it's just so quick that I'm like, all right. TVSJO. Should I be pronouncing it some other way? Either way, thank you for the follow. 37 is my lucky number, and you are the 3,737th follower. So, congratulations. But yeah, so one of the things I was thinking about yesterday and then this morning as well is for like the various tags, especially with you know, looking at the merchants that only buy certain things and making sure we keep that organized and set up in a logical manner. Instrument. That's not instrument here. The thing I'm curious about is how many tags we wind up using, and it'll be a thing that we kind of iterate on and figure out the logic. How many tags we use and how specific do we need to get on certain certain merchants, and then just coming up with terminology that we're all happy with. So there's body part in here, and I can't remember if I added that or if Nick added that or if Ollie added that for like the bat eye. And so what I was thinking about the other day, I created critter underscore bits underscore 1. Because body part, I mean, would that count for like a dwarven finger? And so if I was, when we go to set up a merchant that's maybe interested in like random bits off of critters that you're out there slaying, if we want that to be thematically appropriate, how specific do we need to get? All right. And then the 1 on here is just for that idea of maybe we've got bat eyes and deep beetle eyes and fire beetle eyes and scarab eyes and basilisk teeth and stuff like that going on here. But what if we've got like a, you know, Vorpal bat, like some uber bat eye? Does that count, right? If we're trying to maintain a sort of specific fictional feel, would it make sense that you go to some low-level merchant and he's gonna shell out the extreme cash for a Vorpal bat eye? How much water would you estimate you have drank today? Liter and a half. You're from the hydration team? Liter and a half. But good reminder. So Campion, Long Humans, thank you for the follows. What time zone am I in? Central European Standard Time, I think, or just Central European Time. I forget what's going on with the whole you know what I mean, leap forward, backward stuff. UTC +1? Yeah, it sounds right. Because UTC is that, would the UK being just UTZ 0? It is 1439, correct. Hi, loving robot. That'll be 2 gold for the rotting dwarf head. The dwarf cleric says. Right. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that we're actually looking to avoid a bit. But so if we look here, not only we've got a fire beetle eye, so in theory we could probably also flag that as reagent. And also light source. So more than half of the day is already over. Average male should consume 3.71 or 3.7 liters of water per day. You should drink some more. Damn it, you know what? You're right. I do most of my drinking in the evening though. I'll have another liter right before bed. Because then that means that I can wake up at least, you know, probably once in the middle of the night and go pee and then go back to bed. I love doing that. I love waking up in the middle of the night and seeing that I still have like 4 or 5 hours left to sleep. And then going back to bed and enjoying the rest of my night. And then I still need to wake up in the morning, like, and run and pee as well. So that's a motivator to get out of bed. I think that started all the way back in the army, in basic training, where you have to drink a canteen of water before bed. Armor. About 20% of the 3.71 liters should come from food though. Fair point. What about beer? Do you consider beer more of a diuretic, or do you feel like that it provides some hydration value? Bavaria? 9. I am in northern Germany. I am in Bremen. Or as the Germans would say, like Brem. If you hear that noise in the background, I think it's just Discord. Let me just kill Discord. There we go. Let's see if that noise keeps happening. Armor. Do you think there would be better performance adding a column to flag 1 or 0 for each tag, or would there just be too many and it's better to have them listed as looks like the item table will be pretty large? That is a question for Ollie. That is a good question for Ollie. Your grandparents on your mother's side migrated to the US from Bremen? No shit. When was that? Let's say cooking. So like we've got trade skill, which makes sense. I'm not criticizing the tag, but I've been thinking about stuff like that. So should it be trade skill, or should we identify trade skill, comma, blacksmithing, comma, everything that's it could possibly be used in, which whoever did this, whether it be Nick or Ollie or maybe it's me and I just forgot about it. Already accounted for some of that. April Noel asked, how important are factions in your game? Our goal is to make them a very, very sort of important and fluid part of the game. So the goal is for us to treat both factions and religions as something that if you want to find obscure stuff or explore the full game, you're likely to grind and otherwise sort of manipulate your faction. And religion serves as kind of like a quasi faction system, a different layer on top of that, to find new and unique opportunities or access other content or whatever. So have to check your family records, but sometime around World War I. Oh wow, okay, so that was definitely a while back. Golden Gloves says relational database design will likely have each tag listed in an item type table and then referenced in each item. Are you talking about a tag, like a tag table then that you're keying to in the item itself, as opposed to how we've currently got a column where we just put the tags in? How's your gardening going since you went on holiday? My corn is now taller than me. We've got a ton of tomatoes that are about to turn red. We've harvested all of the daikon radish. We've harvested all of the little red radishes. Got a bunch of beans that I need to freeze. Let's see, what else do we have? We've got kohlrabi that is growing right now. We've got a lot of radicchio. Anyways, we've got some like red looking lettuce, and we've got like heads of red looking lettuce, and then we got some frilly leafy red lettuce as well. What else is going on? 3 varieties of corn, and we're starting to get actual corn on the stalk, so that's nice. I'll have to post a picture of that to Discord. I'll try not to forget. But yeah, the corn is super tall. Hey, what's up, Keebs? So you guys, let's see, Golden Gloves agreed with what I said. Then Chronos said, are you able to group tags into larger overall tag group? Maybe it's easier just to apply specific tags like cooking, blacksmithing, and then identify those as a larger trade skill group of tags rather than applying the general tags to specific tags all together on each item. I think as we continue to add this stuff in here, we can look and see if it becomes unwieldy to manage. But my just sort of off the cuff answer to that is and this is not coming from a technical standpoint at all, just sort of a usability standpoint. For now, with all of it here, then it's all here. It's not, there's not like one level of abstraction of this then being in another table where I've got to set up all of the various tags in the table and then link them via drop down here. Now, that's only for selection, but in theory, you wouldn't necessarily need to have any sort of drop down or whatever, which then it also gets into the idea of, with this just being a string, then I can add as many as I want in here and I don't necessarily need additional columns or anything like that, right? So if I have a, like a tag, item tag table over here, well, I guess a tag table, because in theory, we could be using these same tags. Well, we will be using these same tags for something like the interactive object, the mud object system. So like if I need to pry open the door with something and I go to use a raw swordfish steak, then it is probably looking for a tag that this raw swordfish steak doesn't have. But if it's the bill of the swordfish, maybe we've, to be silly, thrown, maybe it's the swordfish steak is different than a swordfish bill, and then the swordfish bill could be used in cooking, but it could also be used as, it could be considered a knife or whatever we wind up sort of using as the tag that, I mean, for sake of conversation or whatever, we could say prying is a tag that we put on here. And so, yeah, right, because then it's essentially a pry bar. And so a pry bar, a knife, a sword, a swordfish bill could all have like prying on there, right? And so since it's basically just tags then that are listed and they're specific to each item, I could see how if we had a tag table that we could have a parent tag that is then associated with all of these tags. But again, it's like, it's one layer of obfuscation, right? Like it's a layer removed, and then I'd rather just get in the habit of, like, when we're saying we're setting these up, it's like, oh, if it's going to be blacksmithing, then it's also going to have trade skill. And inevitably there'll be bugs, but like we've said in the past, the reason why we've designed our tools this way, the reason why we're approaching a lot of things we are in the game the way we are, it's with the understanding that some shit's just going to be unbalanced or broken or a little weird, or like, huh? Why did Nick do it that way and Shawn did it this other way? And you know what I mean? Like, but as much as I think some people like wince at the comment that I'm about to make, we think there's a certain amount of charm in that, rather than it being like super systemic. And we come up with a really, decent, maybe not great, but decent system, and then it generates our content, and then we plug it in, and it's like, it just feels like you're playing a system as opposed to something that we came in and just kind of like tinkered together. That makes sense. So that's what I've been thinking about, and kind of like the evolution of kind of like this particular merchant system that we have set up, and then the use of tags on items and everything else, right? So, and if you weren't here last week where I showed it, like if we come up to this guy, he's a merchant. For those of you that aren't familiar with the game, don't kind of know what state we're in, we've had stuff like, functioning merchants, and you can see this item list, right? Like this is saved out. These items have been sold and sitting here for weeks or months or whatever, since I guess the last time we maybe cleaned up the DB. Anyway, you'll see a bunch of shit on this guy that he'll no longer buy, right? Like if I were to buy, I'm trying to remember what all he's got as flags. Let me go back and look at his buy list. Weapons, food, and critter bits. Right. So if I don't have enough money to do it, but I've got this fine steel longsword. He will definitely not buy that. Oh, because let me go find fine steel longsword. Trying to make a liar out of me, gnome. You son of a bitch. You gnome, you. Item. Fine. Oh, sword, you're fine. Fine steel longsword, tag, weapon. Your plea to the Eminem team would be to have trade skills stay relevant. I think you can miss an opportunity to an extent. Yeah, it's a hard balance. If we're not doing like crazy item inflation just based off of you know, not considering sort of our headroom and then having crazy item power jumps from expansion to expansion, cough Kunark, cough Velius, then hopefully it'll be easy for us to come up with what we feel is a nice balance between like adventuring and trade skilling, etc., and maybe some really nice interdependencies, and then maintain those over time. Stout Tea, I've missed the rest of your message and just went off on the garden, and I gotta say that you and your girlfriend, having just been approved by your local government to build a community-funded orchard of around 100 trees with additional tree planting in the area, is also approved for 2 years. That's pretty cool. I like that. Good job. Sorry, I just saw it up there. I was like, oh shit. I missed that. Alright, so fine steel, weapon. 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 Alright, so let's do this. Repop the zone. Shifty will go away for a second, come back. Right click on him. Ignore those server errors. Ignore the fact that he still doesn't want it. That's probably related to the server error. Keith, if you're still there, do you know what's up with that? Is that a new thing? So I updated, I'm getting this error. I updated the data basically in the DB, for fine steel or whatever. Cause I had an example. I just happen to have this fine steel item on me. And I gave it the appropriate tag. So then he should want to buy it. Does he want to buy anything? Nope. Completely read that guy as a shitty gnome. It really does look that way. I know his name specifically, and I still think that sometimes when we come in. No, can I buy anything off of them? That'll be the next test. Wonder if the server just needs to be bounced. How much money do I have? I have 4 silver. Oh, come on. Okay, he's still selling to me. Huh. And so I'm a little confused with our continuous integration. I forget what Gary said last time when I just bounced the server. I could have sworn that it's not ideal to just manually restart like that. Guard, why are you naked? Why are you just standing here in your jockstrap? Brad said, I always hated when you spend all this time getting items and the expansion comes out and your gear is replaced by common items you get day one. Feel like high-end gear should not be replaced so easily. Agree. We agree on that. Seth Rick, thank you. Yeah, this guy's great. I just mentioned in our Slack that one day Ollie did an experiment where, because these are just, they've got, in theory, they've got textures, or could have textures, these moons up here. And so, Ollie did an experiment one day where he just took like an image of the moon and applied it. And it, you know, there's still the glow and everything else, but he had it on these three. And seeing the texture there, so it's not just a white orb, it actually had, if I remember correctly, if I'm not like just thinking rose-colored glasses, could have sworn it had a really badass vibe to it. Are those planets for future expansions? They are moons. And you know what we do with moons. We put cats on there and you'll eventually go to the moon. Probably. So I'm a big fan of the aesthetic and some of the ideas that were a part of Spelljammer. So I wouldn't be shocked if one of these years you wind up sailing through space. Space galleons are pretty badass. Let me see. Let me hop into Slack. Let me see if I repop. Did I get these messages again? Nope. If I click on Shifty. So I didn't get any error messages this time. Let me go back into DB, check something. Did it break something or just weird error message? Well, it was a weird error message that coincided with behavior, expected behavior not being there, Keith. All right, so if I go to item, fine. It could also just be nope, he's got weapon there, he's got food there. I was like, could just be user error on my end. Armor. Armor. More armor. Tag. And weapon. Okay. So, database is updated. Close him out. Repop the zone. Click on them. Find steel longsword. Okay. He doesn't want it. Check him again. What a jerk indeed. Food he should also want. Let me see if I can update him in general. What is he selling right now that's... Okay, so... Gate potion. Malachite. I'll delete Malachite from him. Close them out. Repop. What does this do? He's kind of the test vendor at the moment. Remove throwing dagger from him as well. You can get that somewhere else. Does it matter that the sale price looked like it was set to 0? Let me see. Item. Interesting question. Let's play around with those. Here, delete this, or close it. Oh my god, run into a wall. Oh, I'm glad I didn't attack him. Repop. Golden Gloves asked, what are your thoughts on one-off content or world events that make permanent changes, e.g. Carafim/Sleeper? Or Living World S1 from Guild Wars 2. I personally think they're fine if they do more to add to the game than necessarily deprive people of content. Though I am also one of those folks that's willing to have changes occur in the world that people may not, that may deprive future players of some opportunity or content or item, as long as we've got, as long as there's a strong justification. It's fairly rare, and there's maybe a comparable item of a different sort or nature or whatever in the future, and we have TLPs that spin up. But I think the world events that add to the world or change the dynamic without really depriving people of content or items in the future, I think those are a little bit easier of an answer. It's a bit bit more of a no-brainer. All right, so let's see what Shifty has. All right, so that did update. Jimothy, you may have just won. You just won the prize. So I'm going to set longsword back to 0. In terms of cost. Find still long sword. Cool. Who doesn't want it? As soon as I add. No, it makes perfect sense. So that was with a cost of 1. Yeah, that error is interesting. Let me snip that and put it in Slack real quick. Trying to use a merchant immediately after repopping the zone. It might be, I think there's a bit of a lag in something that's going on with the server after repop, because that popped up in Shifty's item selection menu didn't show. And then like a couple seconds later, I clicked them again and it showed and there's no error, so. Trying to use the merchant immediately after repopping zone. After a few more seconds, no error, and the merchant was accessible. There we go. Okay, so increase the price to 10. Repop. So it went from 100 to 0 to 1. Okay. To 10. Oh, this is a nice reminder for me to make a note about asking about pricing in the database. Because I don't think that's written in Confluence anywhere. Fukaru PL, you know what? You followed 22 minutes ago, and I don't know if I said thank you. Don't know if you're still there. And then is the PL for Poland? Is that? D Germany. Is PL Poland? Anyway. Steph MVP, thank you for the follow. Yeah, so right now, maybe this makes sense to you programmer types, but we've got a value of 10 equals 1 copper. But we're never going to have anything smaller than a copper. Thank you, Keith, for your kindness to Justin. There you go, Justin. So if 1 copper is a value of 10 in the DB, and then, let's see, summon, just to confirm, find, steal. I know there's probably some thinking that went into this, like what if we do a fractional copper piece, but yeah, the music is RuneScape, all the old RuneScape music, it's like 500 tracks. Hey, Sergeant. Alright, so now I have a dagger. Yeah, so a value of 100 is 1 silver, which makes sense if it's like a base 10 evolution, so 10 copper is 1 silver. But why is 1 copper 10 units in the DB instead of 1? And you guys may think I'm silly, but I really, for whatever reason, I've got it stuck in my head that weight, the weight of an item, do you need it for rounding or something? Oh, that's an interesting question, Tatum. But I really like the way that old, I don't know if new D&D does it, but old D&D had weight was based on coins. So a rawhide bracer would weigh X number of coins worth of, right? So I guess if we're trying to be like kind of fictionally accurate, a rawhide bracer may weigh like 5 coins. Must be base 10. You need 10 subunits minimum for calculations. I don't know. I'm just a trained monkey. I just ask the tech guys how things have been implemented in the DB or wherever, and then do my best to not break anything. I will never understand those squirrely programmers. Hey, Woblo. What's going on? Alright. So I'm sitting here on my other monitor. Well, I will be in a second. Adding a few more values to the item DB, which I have hidden over here so that you won't see any surprise items. Not that there's a ton of surprises in there yet. So I'll face you over here for now while I do this. Believe that's a weapon. Let me double check that. It's got a really rad name, so let me. What do you do? Item with a cool name. Yep, you're definitely a weapon. All right. Let me tell YouTube that I'm still listening. I am. Go back in here. HID name. And tags. Hey, Stronk. Leaves room for fractional exchanges. call our sub-comp or MM Toshi. Golden Gloves, to answer your question about do you have some sort of transactional logging in place to perform rollbacks if needed, or in the event of a large-scale economy glitch, would you just restore to an old snapshot? So we've got, and I know Ollie and Gary, and maybe Keith, you were in on this discussion. We were talking about this the other day. So we should be able to perform rollback, no problem. In terms of specific rolling, if we had a big issue, I don't know that it would make sense for us to roll back discrete transactions anyway. It would probably be more efficient, but maybe not more effective to just hit a decent rollback. But that's another one of those areas where I think with a few of the questions that you've had today, you should hit our Discord. And if you're like really interested in the answers, hit our Discord and see if Ollie or Gary or John or Keith or somebody can answer those. And then in terms of transactional logging on a kind of a separate topic, two types of transactions that I actually have recommended we provide a ledger in the UI for the players of our essentially all sort of item and currency transactions is part of one ledger, and then all social interactions like grouping and things of that nature in another ledger. Impin, one of the things that we're seeing a lot of these messages as well, just because I don't believe that we're doing, Keith, let me know if I'm wrong on this. I don't believe we're doing anything at the moment to sort of create like a radius for that information. Like essentially if it's happening, I'm getting it. I didn't think that we had proximity set up yet for those messages. I could be wrong on that one. Because I think it should be even spammier if I'm correct. So in theory, we wouldn't be hearing a lot of these. Oh, no. I've got to be wrong because I was standing there and that's the only one that I've heard, right? So in theory, if I was... if I'm over here... Midgard, enjoy your sleep. So we should only hear these guys and maybe not Xavier, and then that will prove that I am wrong. Yeah, so I'm aware of this sphere of influence system, but I just wasn't sure if chat was actually using it. And then once we've got I think I don't think there's more work that we need to do on the chat front with regards to being able to filter certain things, but yeah. It's interesting, I've got it showing up both here and there. I think part of that's just me not having very good filters set up. But like that, okay, so that Ashira Scout says, it basically gives its aggro text. I don't see an Ashira Scout anywhere. It's like way over here. That's probably the... And so that's far enough away that I shouldn't be hearing that. So anyway, yeah, like a player-facing ledger for transactions so that you can see if you're ever like, oh, where did this item go? Or when did I buy this? Or did I accidentally delete something? All of that stuff. It's just, you've got a ledger that shows it. I worked on a game that had something like that set up. And it actually proved really helpful from a customer service standpoint. I was talking about that with Goblin when we were mocking up UI stuff. Let me find that real quick. Okay, so you can see here So one of the things that we were talking about was providing a decent amount of kind of easy to use if you've used a web browser before. Easy to use, easy to customize for like the novice UI. So essentially we would have tabs for various things. So like that, the ledger. I was mentioning ledger and he just did like a very quick like representation of this, space, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not an indication of how we would design a ledger. But so the idea is essentially that you can minimize and expand different aspects of the UI. You can pull these tabs. You would have different tabs. So like maybe one's a ledger, maybe a guild page, social page, etc. up here. You'll see sort of minimize, expand. But then there's also a space down here where if you've got something that's like a frequently used one of the other tabs that's frequently used that you want to keep on a top level, then you can easily drag it in and it will make it so that you can scroll through that as well. We've talked about, is there sort of a summarized or overview version of that page, but that adds a bit of additional complexity in like figuring out what that should be. So here he's got character description below here, but then in a second clicks to another tab that's like a ledger, and then minimizes that, so basically it's just the ledger now. And then I think, then he pulls the tab off, so you can have all of your various tabs up if you want and manage them separately, or and then the ledger, I think he pulls it, and yeah, so you can see the mix here of, so he keeps it up there but then pulls down the other, like the equipment tab. So what is the ledger? Shlomo, we were just talking about essentially anytime you buy, sell, trade, delete, loot, anything related to an item, having an item ledger so you can kind of go through your history and see like where that transaction happened. Yeah, so it's essentially, it's a text log, but it's parsing it in a way where it's useful. And then the other thing that I'd like to experiment with is anytime you join a group, you get like an entry of you joined a group at this time and maybe zone name. So you know the day, you know the zone, and you know who was in the group when you joined it. Then you would also see anybody that joins the group or leaves the group. You would see those transactions in there. Trying to think of some other things. and it would likely be filterable, customizable. So maybe there's someone sends you a tell, or you trade with somebody, which you would then have it in 2 different ledgers. You'd be able to see it in your item ledger, you see it in your social ledger. And the idea for that was, I don't know about you, but I've had these times where I've been like, oh man, that group last night was really good, but I forgot to note who was in the group and blah, blah, blah. And I could go back to last night and see the people's name. And, you know, ideally, if we're putting that in there, then we can also make it easy for you to like link the, add them to a friends list, or immediately send them a tell from there. Just, you know, simple click kind of interface. Just to help make it easier for the average person to keep track of that sort of information. Will there be a way to transfer items and or currency between alt characters without requiring a second party, e.g. shared bank space? Maybe. Yeah, Datum, that's my biggest question for Ali and the guys, is just cost, but I think there's a certain amount of that information that can just be stored on the client side. It's simple data. It can be stored on the client side, and we don't necessarily care if somebody manipulates that, because we'll have our own record of those transactions as well, right? Because I'm assuming the trade, all of the item related transactions aren't that horrible to store, because we have that information in other MMOs. Otherwise we can't do customer service, right? Like if someone's like, oh, I no longer have my, you know, Fiery Avenger, I don't know what happened to it. Eventually somebody in customer service has got to look and go, oh, you deleted it, dummy. But like some of the social stuff, we could do client side and not have to store any of it, because we don't necessarily care who you group with. Though there are metrics related to grouping that we should be tracking, because I think there's some good data that we can arrive at with regards to like player retention. If we're seeing that there's player churn in the early game, have those players interacted with other players? Have they grouped with other players? Are we seeing that players that don't group with other players are churning faster than players who do group with other players within the first 30 minutes, or first, you know, day, 3 days, 7 days? And then, or the opposite, maybe everybody that groups with other people they're quitting day 1, but everybody that's just playing on their own is not quitting, that kind of thing. Then we could also look at potentially match that against different classes and see, okay, are shadow, you know, or necromancers just not grouping, or that type of thing. So are we seeing disparity in the amount of grouping for certain classes? Does that mean those, you know, then we could dig in. Does that mean that those classes have a tendency to not want to group? Or are those classes chosen by people who feel like they don't have time to group? Or does everybody hate the druid and they're not grouping with them? That kind of thing. Might be too early to ask, Shlomo asks, but have you decided on how big the server should be, as in player population they're expected to hold online? So what they can hold and what they should hold in terms of like a concurrent player count is something we'll just have to tweak. What they can hold is purely a technical question. What they should hold is more an experiential and player density question. That is my best non-answer that I can give you. Syndicroft, thank you for 3 months. With regards to the shared bank space, one of the concerns that we have there is we're trying to find ways to keep the world space, you know, that sense of world as we want to maintain the integrity of the world and the scope, like the scale of it, etc., as much as possible. And we want to be careful that we don't create a situation where it's easy to, with something like a shared bank space, to easily just sort of toss things in there and essentially teleport items to other parts of the world instantly and negate the value of other systems that we're putting in, or just sort of the feel of having to move stuff from one place to another, etc. So it's something we're gonna screw around with and probably have some arguments, and see where we land. Make sure we're not being too punishing, but not giving away the farm from the onset. Rushkin82, thank you for the sub. Yeah, I was just talking to one of our animation candidates, one of the individuals that's interested in helping us with some animation earlier. And I was mentioning, like, I've always thought of MMOs as like the old TV show Cheers, right? Where you've got this like nice cozy place where people know who you are. You can come in, they're like, Norm, you know, you want to go where everybody knows your name. And then the other analogy is like the nightclub. No one wants to go to an empty nightclub. So, you know, it really comes down to making sure that we maintain the, you know, the appropriate level of player density. What that is, we'll have to see. Perhaps the ability to delegate local bank access to specific players. Well, we've talked about having the merchant bags, right? That's essentially, the merchant bag is like an I think I've called it an escrow bag in the past. And so the escrow bag is something where you agree upon the conditions of transfer with the individual that has the bag, right? So people have asked about in Discord recently, what are we planning on doing with merchants? Are we going to put in like a bazaar system or auction house or anything like that? And we've said, no, we don't want to put in an auction house or have bazaar bots sitting around everywhere. What we want to do is combine both the sort of manual sales process that's common in like an EQ, where you saw it, depending on the server, mostly in EC Tunnel or some places it's North Freeport or whatever. So we want to encourage the people that like to min-max and play the trading game. We want to encourage that behavior, but for the people that don't want to do that and are like, I just want to sell my shit, we have a bag that's, or a container, because it could be a, you know, big case or chest on a wagon or something if somebody's a traveling merchant, or whatever. But essentially we want a concept of a container that allows me as the seller to set the terms with the person that is the trader, I guess. So, or better yet, I'm the owner of the item, the potential seller or trader of the item, and then the person that's going to purchase the item. I can say that we agree upon, essentially through the interface of the bag, you've got 1 day or the item returns to me, and I want 100 gold for the item. And we agree upon that. If the person selling it, basically they get the item, then they've got possession of it, they can sell that item for 200 gold and keep the 100 gold. And I get my 100 gold, essentially, right? And you can set like a sort of a commission price on that as well. So maybe it's, I want 100 gold, or really I want 90 gold because, or yeah, I want 90 gold. So you have to sell it for 100 gold and you can keep 10%. But then if they sell it for 200 gold, then they keep the 10% of the 100. So they get, they get that 10, and then they get 110 off the trade. I get my 90. If they delete the item, it gets returned to me. If they log out and don't log back in for 3 days, after a day, it gets returned to me. That kind of thing. So I've got the feeling that's going to be a system that's got all sorts of brokenness to it and exploits and other shit that Ali's going to have to really work with the guys to like figure out all of the weird edge cases. But essentially the idea was, is there a secure way that we can have someone else have possession of your items for certain transaction types to allow for more flexibility in the area of trade? So yeah, it's easier for me to explain that one on paper than it is for me to ramble about it here, but you get the gist. So in theory, if we have a system like that, then we could also have a system in which we allow for the transfer of items, the safe transfer of items. And so that could be a thing too, where we just, allow people to hold items for you for a certain amount of money, and you either get them back on your original character or they complete the transfer that you've agreed upon, which is, hey, when you see my alt little Timmy come in, then give little Timmy this item, and then you'll get 5 gold for the transaction. Sounds like a consignment system. That's probably the correct English terminology for what I've been describing. Triple Hex Lilith says EVE Online does the transport contracts where you pay some amount higher than the value of item, which is returned to you when you deliver on the contract, along with reward for the contract. Okay, cool. I'm just going to snip this so I don't forget it, and I'm going to put it in my notes section on Slack. Thank you, Lilith. I will add that to my notes so I don't forget. I love in Slack that you can just send yourself a direct message. So makes it easier for me to remember stuff like that. Datum said, "What? Oh wait, above that, Sergeant asked, what about Guild Bank idea? Kind of like what was introduced with Guild Hall. Yeah, I think when we start digging into guild features, I can't imagine why we wouldn't have a Guild Bank. Now, regular banks, we may wind up using the flagging as well that like this guy uses, where it could be that regular banks don't want you storing shit in there, like bloody ogre heads or something like that. They could be, sorry, you can't store this in a bank, and then you need to get your own like apartment or whatever to keep all your creepy shit in. Hey, John. Bloody elf heads are okay, though. Yeah, it depends on the bank, I guess. So Silencer is commenting on the use of that system that Lilith mentioned for scams and things in EVE. Given the like PvE nature of our game, mostly, I think there's likely some good stuff to learn from that system that will be maybe less grief prone in our environment. Jodgers, thank you for the follow. Okay, so Datum said, if you're using a nightclub analogy, it's about the mix. I know that servers are a classic way to think about a game, but what about a system that works to maintain density, but also facilitates social grouping by putting people together by who they like to play with, and always maintain a minimum of new player interactions? Sounds like it's a system that has enough complexity behind it that I would be afraid that we would screw up the mix and overcomplicate things whereas we could just start with essentially a classic sort of sharded system and kind of see how that goes from there. That makes sense. Hey, Isan. Please move the in-game camera. You're making us all sick. What? Oh, because you're looking at a gnome. I get what you're saying. Here, I'll look out here, even though you're being silly. Let me get us a nice view, since I'm not being super productive. What about bankers being able to hold something in the same manner for a fee and only at that location? That's not a bad idea. Having an NPC that can do it. Then it would become a sort of a question, and maybe we could have both, the opportunity for players and for NPCs, and then it just becomes a question of what we're really worried about, the social aspect of it or the currency drain aspect of it. That's pretty much a local auction house then. Not if it's specific. Not if it's specific to the player, right? I mean, in theory, I guess you could say that would work as an auction house, but it's single transaction at a time. So it's a pretty inefficient auction house. That may be a great argument for keeping it for players only, though. As soon as you said that's an auction house, I'm like, son of a bitch. You may have a point. People are like, too much brown. But not really an auctioneer because there's no flexibility in price. The transaction's already made. Basically, I would have to interact with you. I'd have to go, Cerebrum's gonna buy this thing for me. In the example we used, it wasn't even a sell. We're saying I pay 5 gold for the NPC to hand this item that I'm giving them to specifically Little Timmy. Little Timmy is my alt, or it could be another player. But the NPC would always charge 5 gold. And all it's doing is handing it to somebody else. So somewhere along the way, you would have to negotiate the price, and you would have to exchange the cash for it. So to me, it seems like an extremely ass backwards way of doing a trade. Ever consider a high-level summon ethereal bank, a single-use pouch that allows you to access your bank? Expensive reagent cast, but tradable. Proof on log, maybe. Rev Chumley, I think when the time comes, we can play around with ideas and try to figure out all the edge cases for how it might be exploited, but a thing like that seems like it could be fun, and you know what I mean? People would still have to bark their whales. Honestly, I think it'd be a good thing where people could buy things in asymmetric time. You may be onto something there. But again, we'd have to, like, while I'm actually thinking and not stream thinking, sit down and go, all right, so what are the implications though? I'm labeling stuff in the DB on my other monitor. You're gonna have to look at the gnome for a minute because I want to try something. Oh, that's not armor. Yeah, I think whatever we wind up calling it, that the commission box or escrow system or whatever, I believe that providing that functionality is going to have a benefit for us. Sisinix, thank you for the follow. Because there are a number of people that really do enjoy just playing the trading game. One of the richest people on my servers, well, my server back in the day, was a guy that was like level 15 or something. His name was Trade Cats, and all he did was trade. And we wound up eventually bringing him into our guild. But like, the guy, he knew who had what items and what items had dropped and just everything. You guys doing quality control in this game? Looks like someone misspelled that NPC's name. How dare you? You trolls. Keep being a troll and see what happens to your race. You saw Zukin working on troll models, actually? If you trolls keep it up, we'll see what happens to Zukin's troll models. I can see it now. Shawn's threatening trolls on stream. Fine, tell my boss. I'm over here tagging items in the DB. Yeah, so Trade Cats, all he did was buy and sell shit. And he is worth millions. Critter bits. 1, meat. Alright, so let's try something here. Repop. There's a dude on P99 who had a Twitch channel dedicated to trading sales charts and spreadsheets and all. Are they still up? I could have sworn last I looked there were the Twitch channels for P99 auctions. Repop, nope, I'm still there. Try again. You guys. SI rat pelt. Yeah, there's something. There's. Oh no, I know what it is. It's the thing. It's the thing that Jimothy was mentioning earlier. All of these need to have a price. So let me go in here. And I bet you that's what's going to wind up being the case. So HID name. Let's see. Oh. Well, we're going to undo that. So we want HID name. Cost. And tags. These do have a cost of 10 though. And he does want critter bits. Chindy said, might be a dumb question, couldn't tell because you're colorblind. Are the wood elves meant to look like they're actually made of wood? No, I think there's... So they should look like they're made of flesh. There are some options to make them look a bit more sinewy, etc. But they're not supposed to look like wood constructs. They are made of flesh. When we get into the lore, you'll get an explanation as to what happened to them and why they look the way they do. Let's see. Speaking of races, how goes the race class combos? We've got a first pass set. Got that done right before I went on vacation, actually. So, we need to update our race class selection in character creation, and then find a nice way to potentially get that information out to the community in a legible form and kind of see what you guys think. And how many Twitch bits to see a Dwarven Beastmaster? Well, let's say a million Twitch bits. Actually, don't do that because I think they take like 30% or 50% of the bits. I'll give you a Monero address to send the million Twitch bits to. There may or may not be a Dwarven Beastmaster already, but you just want to see one, right? So, one of your favorite features in Meridian 59 were limited non-instance guild halls. Would Eminem be able to implement something like hero guild hall locations with more desirable locations having higher upkeep fees? I believe the stance that we're looking at is essentially in line with that. And so I think we're already taking that approach. I don't want to speak too soon on that, but it will be space in the world, and different locations will have different levels of value or potentially criteria. Bad Eminem idea. Beastmasters can only tame monsters their size and smaller. It's funny. Let me go back to people watching. Well, people watching this VOD hear the audio as well, so you'll know why I'm looking at a gnome for 3 hours today. Rat pelt. Let me make this 100 and see what happens. Our fighter's going to be able to dual wield. Yes, Justin. Oh, I know what I... Man. User error is a pain in the ass. Alright, so I just fixed my dumb mistake. Invisigoth said, by the way, using a shield is technically dual wielding. Technically, but come on. Come on, Jack. I'm pretty sure Nick already knew that you needed at least 1 copper value on here for this thing to work, since all the items that were in here before a certain point or of a certain type have at least a cost of 10, so one copper. Are ogres going to be able to dual wield gnomes, or will they have to eat them one at a time? At some point I need to get enough gnome lovers in here to counteract all your bullshit. And let you guys just go at it in chat. That way I don't even have to participate. Chinny D, you're on Team Gnome? Okay, well, defend the gnomes. Cool. Alright. We're good. Let me... So, I'm going to be over here in my other window. Typing stuff in. Are there 2 moons? Do they each have a name? There are 3 moons, and they each have a name. They do. They each have a name and a little bit of lore. And when you get into game, you'll be able to find out all about that. Which one do you think is made of cheese? Which one looks like it's made of cheese? Leather working? Let me double check our trade skills. Nope, not that one. Duplicates. Trade skills. Yeah, for those of you that came in a little bit later, I was saying at the beginning of the stream, over the next week or so, I've really gotta... I can't do it on stream. It's just not the kind of work that I can do on stream, but I've got to sit down and really like be heads down in our documentation, do some lore cleanup, do some additional writing on the lore side, and then use that to basically finish the prep for all of our newbie quests and start hammering away at newbie quests. So those first steps, unfortunately, I've just got to do with like some music playing or earbuds in, something where I can just kind of focus and sit down and do a bunch of writing and cleaning up, archiving, deleting, etc. to get some stuff wrapped up. And then I will document. I've got a template that I've used in the past for writing quests that I feel works pretty well for keeping everything organized. And then I can take all of that sort of written info from the template and sit here and actually just build the pieces and put them together and get the quests in. So I'm hoping to make decent progress on the first 2 steps of that over the next week or so, minus the Thursday, Friday, Saturday at the festival next week. And then I want to like sit down, just hammer away at getting implemented. The implementation part of it, I think, shouldn't be a problem to do on stream. So that'll give us something to chat about and kind of have some background action going on while I'm streaming instead of you may still be just staring at a gnome the whole time. Let me look up of all our mini trade skills. Leather working is correct. All right. Do you have some sort of BBEG in lore? What is a BBEG? And it better not be something obvious that I should have known. Big bad evil guy? I guess we have BBEGs. Big bad evil guys that live in big bad evil places. But Shawn, what is evil really? Are they really evil? Yes, they're evil. Yes, they're evil. But isn't it... they've got a different worldview. Yes, they have a different worldview. And that worldview, to most decent, common people and players of the game, is frickin' evil. But maybe they're misunderstood. No, they're not misunderstood. They're evil. Stop it. Just stop it. But no evil redemption arch. Did I say that? There may be some, there may be some little weirdo within their organization that doesn't really want to be evil, wants to be a misunderstood. Oh, no offense if you're the person that did it, but I'm listening to the Crystal Shard because it's been forever since I read it. So one of the audiobooks I have at the moment, I've always got too many of them going at one time. One of the audiobooks I have at the moment is a Crystal Shard, and the person reading the book is doing like a different voice for Regis and Dritz and Wolfgar. You know what I mean? Like everybody. Turn up. Thank you for 2 years of being an awesome pal. Good to see you. How's it been 2 years? Oh, time flies. I mean, we've been working on the game for almost 2 years. And I've been streaming for longer than that. So yeah. But yeah, so the person reading the book, the person reading the book is doing voices for like Regis and stuff and Dritz. And it's I'll be honest, it's kind of hard to listen to. I wish you just read it. You know what I mean? Because in Dritz's voice in the book is kind of like, I don't know, Regis. I'm kind of misunderstood. I'm just like, oh god, stop it. And Regis is like this. Oh, I am a halfling. Man, I just want to hear the book. I don't want to hear the voices. So no offense if you're the person that did the voicing for that book, but man, it's hard to get through. Which makes me think I just need to read it. What? I've got such an eclectic mix of like books that are in progress on my Kindle at the moment. One of them is I've just started War of the Flea, which is like a book from 1965 on asymmetric or guerrilla warfare, along with the first of the Dragonlance books. Reading that again, and yeah, man, it's like depends on what I'm in the mood for. It'd be cool to have a halfling with a raspy whiskey baritone voice, like a barefoot Barry White. Exactly. Let me have Regis sound like how I want Regis to sound. John said it's only evil if you're on the wrong side. I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it, but listen guys, there's a reason why so many shooters involve you know, like Wolfenstein, you're killing Nazis for a reason, because no one really has a problem going, you know what? I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here and just go, considering the Nazis evil, most people are cool with that. Let's treat them as the bad guys. This idea that we can't have like fantasy races just be the evil race that is the bad guy that you kill. And now if some players want to be, you know, they want to kind of go along with that and be like, yeah, personally, I kind of want to be just as evil as that person because whatever, I'm into the worldview. That's fine. There's probably going to be those opportunities for you in the game, but it shouldn't be a shocker if a certain number of other players look at you and go, well, you're aligning yourself with the evils. There was a question about, will Pantheons play a role or have an influence in the world? They'll have a subtle influence in the world, and for now at least, mainly be linked to some sort of subtle or background gameplay opportunities. Like high elves who are light and beautiful, who are seeking a final solution to the human problem. Wait a second. Have you been peeking at our lore? You mean like high elves that are looking at the deep elves and going, well, you've been corrupted, in the wood elves and going, after that specific event, you no longer really seem like elves to us. And then they're kind of in their high elf way going, we think elves are awesome, and we're the last of the true elves. So we're going to treat the rest of the world as if we're the last of the true elves, and we need to defend that. How long did it take me to get comfortable with building in Blender? I don't know that I'm comfortable building in Blender now, but to the degree that you've seen in the videos, couple weeks. Yep, and sadly, I'd sort of like to play that kind of elf. In Visigoth, I think you may be okay. Did this involve a little more than tree hugging? It's just so you can see that I'm actually doing something on the other screen. Yes. A little bit more than that. Eminem, bad take. Don't kill Wood Elf. You prune their family tree. Do you remember the Gong Show, John? Chuck Barris. Mad the Monk, yes. I forget, was Chuck Barris the one that was also the spy? Yes, you earned your gong, John. I should get a little gong sound effect. Am I the only person that streams that doesn't have a soundboard? I'm trying to remember, was it Chuck Barris that was the one that was supposedly a spy or said that he was a spy? There's like a documentary about him. No, or is it a movie about his life? Cartograph. Okay, there was a movie. Ruskin, how is this the first time you're chatting? You're a subscriber. CIA assassin. He lied and said he was in the CIA. Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. That is it. Nice. Is it worth watching? Have you seen it? Having a physical gong at my desk would be better. Kimmery, it would be a lot better. I don't know how my neighbors would feel about that if I had my own house. Then I feel like I'd be like that dude Kramer or whatever from the stock guy that's always wrong. Yes, it's worth a watch. Okay. It's nice to meet you. I'm gonna try to make my own EQ zones. I was trying to wrestle with Blender. Zoidberg, if I could do it, I'm sure you can do it. It didn't take me very long. The logic on it's fairly straightforward. Jim Kramer. That's right. Hey, Pattis. Yeah, I mean, if you ask Blender questions in my stream Discord, I'm sure people will help. Or maybe even, I think there's a spot in our Eminem Discord. Either way. Zoidberg. You know we'll help you out. Putting tags on things, fletching. Joe crafting. Leather working. You guys can watch for typos. Lumber jacking. Dual. I thought I turned all that crap off. Alright, but you've redeemed it. Where do you want to duel at? P99? Or are you just going to save it until you can come in here? Hey, Dark Inside. Do you want to duel in real life? I don't know. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm pretty tough. Not really. Is lumberjacking a verb? I don't know, man. I think so. Isn't it? Can you not? Isn't it lumberjacking? Lumberjacking is a verb, and it's okay. So I did some garden work yesterday. The plan was to do a little bit of garden work that I needed to get done. Wouldn't it just be forestry? It might be forestry. We may have to update that. It's lumberjacking for now, because that's what we like. This is our game. If you send 1 million Twitch bits to my Monero account, then we'll change it to forestry if you're passionate about it. Oh, John, that's horrible. I thought lumberjacking was when somebody stole lumber. Is that not what we're talking about? So anyways, I went to just do some quick yard work, trim the hedges and some other crap, and I wound up getting so sunburned and was just so over it, and it took longer than expected because there's also like a rest period at the gardens where you're not allowed to use any equipment like machinery or anything from like 1 to 3. So my whole schedule for yesterday and getting work done here and all sorts of stuff just got screwed, and I got sunburned. I didn't realize I was getting sunburned. Here's my farmer's tan, and it doesn't even really show, and it doesn't show as bad as it actually is on camera. And then my head, it looks like a light's hitting my head. It's not. From basically my cap down is gardener tanned, as Kimmery says, and then it's just white from the top up. My very thin hairline. Pattis, are you still there? I didn't realize how invasive cherry tomatoes are, taking over half your garden. I may have to mess with them tomorrow. Every one of my tomato plants has been crazy. I've had to do so much pruning. So I mentioned something at the beginning of the stream, just kind of a note. Oh, you may have already responded to one question I have in Slack. Okay, you have it. Okay, good. So 2 questions for you. One is, oops. Were you still thinking about zigzagging the main thoroughfares and sightlines in here? And I was thinking about it because it's one of those things where I'm like, I assume you still are, but either while you're blocking stuff out, you forgot, or which happens, or you had a new plan. And I just, before we got too much further, I was like, oh man, are we still sort of breaking this up a little bit so it feels less structured? So that is one question. Yeah, I mean, if we were to have like one thoroughfare be straighter or straight, I mean, I guess in theory, like the main thoroughfare could be straight. That'd be fine, but my concern would be that if we keep it too grid feeling, it will just feel too, I don't know, it won't feel real, you know what I mean? It won't seem organic enough. It'll be too lumberjacky. So that's my thoughts. I'm definitely open to, if you've got some other thoughts or whatever, we can follow up on it. And but I'm thinking, I mean, it can they can still be thoroughfare, but I just think it needs to be a little less rigid. So that was one question. And then the other thing that I was thinking about today is got a lot of area to populate and start working on. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I wanted to bring that up. And then the other thing that I wanted to do, Mario with a D. You guys have a lot of D's in your names. So that's one thing. And it, you know, I figure it shouldn't be too hard to sort of twist some things and mix some things, but it was getting, as this is starting to get more developed and it's still straight, I was starting to feel obligated to mention that before you got too far along. My D stands for Dario because my name is Mario with a D. Okay. Nice. See, that makes sense, and it's not obscene. And then the other thing, Pattis, is getting to a point where we can pause a little bit of the Night Harbor work for, and I'm going to put air quotes around quick integration of Night Harbor and Shaded Dunes so that it feels more fluid zoning between them. Which, I mean, honestly, for the first bit of it, I think you, me, and Nick can talk about the remaining sort of Nubiar layout stuff. Any changes here? And then the basically taking a quick facade snapshot, knowing that we're going to have to update it, but quick facade and replacing the old Night Harbor and just sort of making it so that we feel like it's fairly fluid. Are you a game developer as a hobby, or are you actually a professional? I have, if you look down to my about section, I guess, isn't that what it is? If you look at like whatever about, I think you can see some of the stuff I worked on. I would not necessarily call myself a professional, but I have, yeah, the answer to that is yes. I have definitely worked on games and been paid money for it for about 20 years. If you want professional, ask a question and tag Nick in our Discord and you will get a professional answer. If you want someone who has worked in games for a while to give you probably slightly less than professional answer, then tag me. I think if I was a better game developer than as a professional, then I would probably be more of a game developer as a hobbyist. But I've just had a lot going on lately, if that makes sense. Do you play as a bird in this game? It's been a while since I did it, so I'll probably mess it up. I'm currently playing as a bat. Is this guy naked too? Interesting. Oh, because I zoomed into first person? Is that what happened there? Well, let's just restart. Yeah, I was just flying. Basically, I've been screwing around in the database for the most part, RuneWord. It's been another one of those kind of slow streams in terms of activity level. Like I haven't been like playtesting or anything like that, so I've been in and out of the database. And mainly just kind of bullshitting. So while I was doing that, I had my character floating. Oh, actually I was doing it for a reason. It's because I was talking to Pattis here in chat, who's doing the environment work. Belfester said, you actually have a pretty diverse wild background if you think about it. Military, EverQuest games, living in a van. It was a bus. It was a tour bus. Living abroad, yes. Yeah, I've had a... Oh, geez. Bat forms not treating me nicely. Oh, bat form. You used to be so nice. I don't know what the hell is going on there. I'll just make a new tune. Living in a van down by the river. Yeah. That too. No, it was a 1984, I believe. 1983, 1984 Bluebird executive coach. 1984 Bluebird executive coach. So it looked about like this. All steel construction. It was heavy enough that when you go over the train tracks, they go down. So yeah, it looked about basically like this. Jim's Call said, what is your major task as a game designer? I would say at the moment we share a lot of different design, sort of more specialized design roles. We share a lot of different hats on that. So Nick has primarily been focused on gameplay, classes, spell and ability design, encounters. I would say my focus to date has been more working with folks to get the lore together in preparation for content development, which would then bleed over into encounter design, population design, quest design, itemization. I think there's going to be a few of us sort of tackling that. We've been definitely poking at sort of the best approach for itemization and balance, and pacing, etc. I'm also had a fair bit of input on like level design because I've also been doing some of the blockouts. So kind of doing environment art blocking, which I don't think is uncommon gray boxing for like a level designer. So we're not super specialized on our team. Everybody wears a few hats. Human, fighter. How long did it take for the bus to not be fun anymore? About 3 months. So I ran into two problems with it. One, I just got in over my head with regards to some of the mechanics of it, especially the energy part of it, right? Like the power part of it. The campsite that we were at for 3 months in Austin really wasn't amped on, that's a pun, on the power drain of the bus. And so ran into a few problems there. My girlfriend at the time was a hairstylist who was kind of a free spirit, and she was like, yeah, let's travel and the bus will be fine and we'll, travel America and all that stuff. Very down with the plan. All the way up until I think we got the bus. And then she's like, well, but all my clients are in Austin. I'm like, we've been talking about moving into this bus for 6 months, a year or something like that. Now you don't want to leave Austin. So we didn't get very far in terms of travel on the bus. And I mean, in Austin, it's pretty hot, right? And so we did I ever dump my doo-doo water on a bridge on top of a boat tour below, like Dave Matthews band tour was? Did it really land on a boat below? I thought they just dumped it into the water and got yelled at. Anyways, no, all my doo-doo water went to the right place, except for the one time that it backed up into the bus. And the doo-doo water came into the bus. So that was not fun. So that was definitely one of those experiences. Could never get the humidity right in the bus. When the air conditioners were on, it was kind of humid. And it had a like strong drain on the like the power thing that we were plugged into. We burned up one of those power things, and the campsite wasn't very amped on that. So it was just all this shit back and forth, and just, being in the bus wasn't bad if we were like going places and seeing cool stuff. Honestly, it wasn't that bad space-wise. Bus probably had the same amount of like space as my apartment in Stockholm. If not, maybe more. Definitely have more storage. So anyway, like, it would have been cool if we were traveling around in a bus. Driving it was sketchy, because that thing did not stop fast. The thing weighs like 20 tons or something. And so anyway, the kind of final straw was we're doing something one night, and like maybe, I don't know, I had the TV on and turned on the AC or whatever, and the electrical panel, that's like this complex electrical panel, just it starts popping and smoking. And so like we grab the dogs and get out of the bus. I'm in my underwear. I'm like standing outside the bus. All right, everybody out. Great. I'm going to go back in and see if there's a fire and put it out and all this, crazy shit. Go back in. It stopped smoking. Like we cut all the power to the bus or whatever. And my girlfriend was like, let's go get a hotel room. Like, I'm so stressed. I'm so over it. Let's go get a hotel room for the night. And then we'll come back and see what the deal is with the electric tomorrow. So we went and got a hotel room nearby. And it wasn't a great hotel room, to be honest. It was just a hotel room. But this big open hotel room where the dogs could like bounce around and play with each other, and the floor was like tile and cool, and the air conditioning felt so much better, and it just was so nice to get into that hotel room that we just kind of looked at each other and was like, we should probably just go get an apartment. Sell the bus and get an apartment. And it was around then I started like looking around and checking out different jobs and stuff anyway. So that was about, I don't know, 6 months or so before I took the job in Germany, and then we came over here. So that's the answer to your question. The bus, it took about 3-4 months, I think, before it was like no more fun, and then we just got out of it. I think if I was better at reading the freaking manual, and we were able to like run around in the bus and go visit some cool places, etc., I think it would have been a different story. But like basically we traded a really decent apartment for a pretty shitty apartment in this case, and so that was not the mission. Justin said, I went through 18 months of nowhere to live from 2016 to 2018. Have my own apartment now. It feels good. Yeah, man, I'm amped for you. It sounds like you got a good setup now. I had a question for you a few weeks ago, and I forgot to ask. Do you know of, or do you use at all, because of problems with your site, do you use any like text to voice? I had a guy at my last company come from a university in Sweden, because my last company I worked at was in Sweden, and he was really promoting like a text to voice system to help with regards to accessibility. And now I wish I knew the guy's name. I might ask my last company people there if they have heard from the guy. Voice to text isn't all that great, and you'll get errors, at least the phone you have. Do you like text to voice though? And do you know, is there like a specific system? Is it something that's integrated into applications you use, or do you use an external app for it? Or tell me all about it. Jim's Call asked, as of now, are you guys satisfied using Unity for your project? Because personally, I like Unity, but every time I check MMORPG games, they use like Unreal or their in-house engine. This is my first MMO project with Unity. I've used Unreal in a past MMO when I worked on DC Universe. If the tech guys are generally happy, I'm fairly happy. The artists being artistes, and you know, a couple people on our team, I will say, probably wish we were using Unity, I guess. I mean Unreal, but I would say it's been working good for us, and I don't have any complaints. And as long as Ollie and company are happy on the tech side, I've been happy on the design side for the most part. Thank you for the follow, Rimward. Artists are never happy. It's true. Well, most people are never happy. I think Nietzsche had something to say about that. Jim's Call, thank you for the follow as well. If you want to dig into some of the details, this is a topic. If you dig into our Discord, that's the Monsters and Memories Discord. This is my personal just sort of stream Discord. We've had this conversation a few times. You're going to want to look for Ollie. Ollie's usually the one answering the questions. Pattis is an artiste. Justin said I use Samsung A71 5G, but I usually don't use voice to text all the time, mainly when texting somebody or searching, but I zoom in all the time. I know Google is updating things to the current voice to text, but what about text to voice? So my question is text to voice. Like, would it be helpful for you if we had the ability for you to use text to voice when like NPCs are talking to you, or you're getting tells, or you probably don't want it for combat spam. That would probably be a mess. But you know what I mean? Like in game, if that was better supported, would that be helpful? Wilderness skills, bow staff skills, nunchuck skills. Girls like it when you have skills. And so this would be probably maybe separate from any sort of genotype functionality, but you need to fix the shading on its upper lip. The artiste needs to do it. They're going to be like, oh no, we can't fix the shading on the upper lip. We need Unreal 5 for that. I'm gonna have to do more audiobooks. It's gonna be my thing when Vision is that poor. I used to not be able to listen to audiobooks, Justin. But after I got used to listening to podcasts and stuff, I almost always have an audiobook going, just because if I'm walking the dog, I do the bulk of the grocery shopping, I do the bulk of the cooking. If I'm working in the garden, I kind of like to just turn everything off and think laterally if I'm working out. So like I said, I'm listening Crystal Shard right now, not super amped on it. What else we got? Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order by Ray Dalio. I'm listening to that as well. Next on deck will be Endure by Cameron Haynes. I just finished End of the World is Just Beginning by Peter Zahan. And The Great Depression. Both very good. Also recommend The Lords of Easy Money. That was a recent one. And just started War Without Rules as well, which is a very interesting one from General Robert Spalding. The Salvatore book narrations are rough. Yeah, Eastan, I was talking about that earlier. It's like I'm struggling to get through it because the dude's doing voices and I don't like the voices. If you like fantasy, you should check out Graphic Audio's audiobooks. Do I just Google that? Or can you give me more to go on, Cindercroft? Ella Lolian? Company name is Graphic Audio. I get so many great recommendations in here. Audio books. Oh wow, interesting. All right, I'll have to dig into this. I'll dig into this off stream. Justin said right now I can see my phone if conditions are good, no glare for example, and if the phone is right in front of me. Yeah, it's got to be tough watching the streams on a phone because everything is fairly small. Someone had pointed out on the EQ interviews that I did. So I did, if you're not familiar with me or the stream, you're new here or whatever, if you like EverQuest, I've got like 60 hours of interviews with former EQ folks. And somebody pointed out, they're like, why are your heads so small and you got random bullshit in the background? It should have been bigger heads. I'm like, kind of late now, buddy, but good point. Let's see. A 404 not found. Audible had a wonderful VA for the first 3 Dragonlance books, voice actor for the first 3 Dragonlance books, and then they changed to a different guy for the Twins books, and holy shit, the guy cannot pronounce anything correctly and must not understand what a comma is. So the one so I started on the Crystal Shard on Audible, and I'm not loving it, but it'll work. But I started on the Dragonlance books again on the Kindle, and it's funny, like reading versus hearing the voice actor. The reading is so much better. It's just I can't like read and walk the dog and stuff. So, Belfaster asks, Justin, have you heard of the app where volunteers jump in and visually impaired can FaceTime call? A volunteer will connect and help you. And can help them do whatever they need help with in a moment. Sound like a good idea for an app to do some good for a change. Wow, that's really cool. I briefly dated a girl in Austin years and years ago who was deaf, who worked for, I think, the government, and her agency would get called in basically anywhere where she could like problem solve and figure out how to improve work conditions for someone that was hearing impaired in some way. Like she did a thing where they did some interesting like device hacking and rebuilding and stuff for a police officer that had become had a hearing impairment and like basically made it so his radios would work better for him, all sorts of stuff. Thought it was interesting. Don't even bother listening to the twin books. It'll just piss you off. Thank you for the advice. I will definitely avoid. And Zoidberg on the interviews, like more of the interviews, we'll see. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but we'll see. How did you end up playing these RuneScape tunes as background music? I'm on a break from old school RuneScape and this feels familiar yet confusing. Orange Quake, Bunny recommended this playlist of like 500 songs and I'm not really familiar. I mean, I'm quasi in a professional sense, I'm familiar with RuneScape, but didn't really play it for more than a few hours. And I like the music a ton and it's just so nice to have in the background. So Jim Skull said, I'm on my 6th month using Unity and 2nd month in developing their mobile game. So far I'm pretty happy about it. Also thanks for your answers feedback regarding the engine. As a newcomer to game development, it makes me happy seeing veterans professional game devs use the engine for much more complex projects like Monsters and Memories. Yeah, I mean, unless Wiki lied, which I know sometimes it does. You know, if you look at the games that have been developed in Unity, there are bigger titles out there. So I understand some of the back and forth and blah blah blah, but Unity allowed us to get up and running quickly. And like I said, for the most part, I am happy with it. What did I just do? Happier with Unity than I am Windows. I mean, before working on this game, I did some VR and AR projects on my own, like just kind of like very hobbyist stuff to learn a little bit more about what was going on with them at the time. And I used both Unreal and I used Unity, and to be honest, I forgot about this. This was 2017, I think. Yeah, around 2017. Used both. Found myself using Unity for that more than I was Unreal, and just found it a lot easier to work with for those specific projects. Some of the AR stuff that I was doing. Found that easy integration of like the Vuforia SDK at the time. And the thing was, I don't think I'd used Unity before then. I was more familiar with old Unreal like Kismet and Matinee, which is now Blueprints. So, and I thought I would gravitate towards Unreal because of the visual scripting system, and then I wound up just taking some like at the time I was also taking like some online JavaScript classes, and then found that it was easy enough for me to transition over to like copy pasting enough in C# to get the shit done that I needed to get done. So I don't get the Unity hate, Belfaster said. It sounds like most high-end users have complaints with every single engine, and they're probably legitimate complaints, but it doesn't sound like any one project is perfect, it doesn't sound like anyone is perfect while others are not. Yeah, I mean, that's my thing. Like, my experiences with Unreal 3 when we were doing DC was, oh cool, we have an engine that we can use to prototype all the shit and do visual scripting and blah blah blah. And then like within a year, the programmers had, in order for it to work with all of the, I guess, MMO systems that we were messing with, like gutted it down to basically a renderer. We wound up building all proprietary tools for design that were stuffed in there. Got very little value out of like the integrated tools, from Unreal. It was all just new, and I've used, you know, more. I would say I'd used or been around more proprietary engines than I have anything, even ones that started out as some other engine but just got like changed all to shit. So it's funny, a friend of mine who does a lot of like crazy high-end like projection mapping projects for like big companies and countries and all this, his day job, at least back when we were hanging out in Hamburg, his day job was building the UIs for like BMWs as a contractor. And then he would do all these other projects and stuff. And his thing was he would use an existing engine if he had to for some very specific reason to be very quick. But he was like, I'd rather just write my own engine for a project each time. But he was also one of those guys that between him and his partner could sit down and do that. So, is the Basilisk dungeon over there going to be like Befallen size or Guck size? It started kind of a bit like Befallen, and then we have plans to make it feel a little bit guckier. Golden Glove said for solo hobby game dev, I'm a huge fan of. Is it Godot or Godot? I don't think I've ever heard it. I've only seen it written. Ollie likes it a lot as well. Yeah, Orange Quake. The music's fantastic. You always hear it called the second way, Godot. I think either one probably works. Godot. Cool. It's fancy, man. It's French. French fries, French bread, French onions. We were just talking about them. Ollie's a big fan of the engine. He likes it. We were talking about them relative to something we may do in the future, which is later on, when we hit a point where we're comfortable taking money, maybe even before then. We may show it before then, and even before we take money. I thought it might be interesting as part of what we're doing. We're being very open in our development, so we're showing our roadmap, though it needs to be updated, I realize. We do the streams. We show most stuff other than specific content or lore that we don't want to ruin the surprise on. We answer questions. And I was thinking, because of the way that Godot works, I believe we were talking about Godot, they also, like, they publish their finances. And I thought it might be an interesting thing for us to do, to actually publish like a slightly, not ultra detailed, but enough detail so you kind of understand what's going on, but then publish our finances, so that folks can also see, like, not only the roadmap, but like this is what we've been, here's where we've been allocating money for the project, and then as we go and we start, you know, bringing in money from whatever sources, then people can also see what money's come in and where we're allocating that, in a general sense. So that way we continue being very, very open with you guys, and you know we're not bullshitting around. Still a capsule dude down there? Yeah, the Ashira are still capsules if you look. So we'll be looking into that, whether or not it makes sense. Jin Purpo said, as someone with background in coding, I struggle with art. Any tips for building a team that can do 3D models and textures? It just takes time and interacting with a community, whether you have a stream or you're in a Discord somewhere or whatever. Our team, which is now, it bounces between 10 and 11 people, and we've got some people that, you know, may be coming on board. Our team for the first year was like 4 people with a little bit of off and on there. And that was for legit like the first year, and then most of the team now has come on like during the second year, and it takes time. Belfast, the interesting thing is we really don't spend very much money through the efforts of the team. The bulk of our costs have been early contract art during the first year. Our costs basically boil down to early contract art the first year, setup costs with regards to legal. So we've paid a fair bit of legal. And then ongoing sort of operating expenses basically boil down to software costs, services that we pay for every month, and then some like ongoing contractor fees. Cindercroft, thank you for your generosity. Cindercroft's gifted tier 1 subscriptions to Zoidberg, Will of the Watch, Pazzy160, Lasvik, and the Criticus. Belfast said, I learned from working at a bank dealing with projects and pricing every now and then. If you want to get rich, sell things to businesses. Businesses pay so much for near items just by virtue of being a business. It's insane. If you want to get even richer, sell stuff to the government. Then you can quadruplize. Gluggernaut. That's a cool name. Thank you for the follow. Oh, I listened to an interview with the guy who founded Blackwater, and he was talking about how the one time he tried to get basically one time he tried to get a contract with the government, and they rejected because he wasn't charging them enough. So he had to increase the price by 60% before they would even consider it. Alright guys, we're hitting 5 p.m. my time, which means it's about time for me to go practice my shopping and cooking trade skills. Get everything ready for the missus when she gets home. Also, my garden has been producing lots of daikon radishes and lots of zucchini. So I just ordered some kimchi spices. So some wonderful, delicious kimchi spices, 2 different kinds, and some fermenting jars because I think I want to try making some kimchi out of some of our vegetables and see if that makes them a little bit more entertaining than eating damn zucchini for the 30th time. Yeah, a novice, exactly. Appointed in? I probably said that wrong. Appointed in. You'll have to give me the phonetics. Anyways, thank you for the follow. Make some zoodles. What is a zoodle? John, see you. Take care. Those of you that are just coming in here, if you don't know what we're making, close enough. Well, but if you give me the actual phonetics, I swear, and you'll probably have to do it every time, I will try to say it right. Let's see. Oh, zucchini noodles made from zucchini. That actually sounds like a very good idea. Zoodles it is. I need spaghetti squash. So anyways, that's our website. I just hit the button. Did I? Yeah. Here's our Discord. Those of you that have specific art questions, art pipeline questions, technical art questions, questions for artists, hit that Discord. If you have questions for tech, if you've got whatever crazy nerdy server shit and network stack and rendering and all of that stuff that Grocknardians are into, no offense, I love you guys, wouldn't be here without you. Go in there, ask Ollie, ask Gary, ask Shawn, ask Keith. come in, come into our Discord, ask questions. Here's the stream Discord. We answer questions in there as well. It's a little bit less cluttered. It's a little less active, and I post pictures of garden and stuff like that in there. Join our mailing list. We're creeping up on 2,000 people on the mailing list, which is awesome. That is a great metric for us to sort of watch grow, and then we're going to be sending out more information via the mailing list in the future about playtests and merch and all that other good stuff. You can watch all of our passive odds on YouTube here. Yeah. And be sure to check out the rest of the team. If you're in our Discord, you'll get an update whenever they start streaming, but you can follow them through those links there. And that way you can interact directly with artists and Nick and ask questions there. Belfaster, I think I'm going to double the size of my tomato house for next year because my tomatoes did so good so far this year, knock on wood. So that's good. Don't ever plant mint. Learned that lesson the hard way. Or plant it in a bucket. So we found mint underneath some... Jasmine was pulling weeds and come to find out it was mint. It's under our wine grapes in the back area. So yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, so I'm out of here. Thank you. I will see everybody on Tuesday. If I don't see you in Discord. Yeah, and hopefully, I say this every stream, but hopefully I'll be productive and we can look at some new stuff by then. So, thanks everybody for being here. Just make mojitos. When she pulled the mint, that was the first thing I said. We almost went down to the grocery store to get some rum and stuff to do it. Yeah, Orange Quake, goodbye. Kronos, goodbye. Cindercroft, goodbye. Rev, see you. Belfaster, take care. Tschüss, Ishiwatari. Bis Dienstag. Schönes Wochenende. John, thank you for all that you do. Bye, Anovis. Later, Pattis. Kimmery, you're very welcome. Have a good one. Hi, Warlord of Chaz. See you. Danke, Ishi. All right. I think the goodbyes have lost their momentum. I'm going to click the buy button in... Well, I mean the end stream button, not buy. But let's say 5, 4, 3, 2, bye.